here we are, week 3. We are at 3.5 for our intermediate. We're going to cover, what are we going to cover? We're going to cover approach shots, which are shorter balls coming in. Half volleys, which have the little bounce. Volleys, which have no types of bounce whatsoever. This is the balls that are hit in the air. And we're going to talk about different types of volleys and different types of shots, which would be angle shots or even drop volleys. And we want to go back and reinforce the fact that the further back you are, the bigger your backswing can be, but as you come in closer to the net, it becomes shorter and shorter as you come in. So it's the farthest back you are has the biggest backswing because you have more time. More when you come into the net, you have less time because the ball's coming back to you faster. We'll talk about placement and everything else like that later on down the line when we talk about strategy, but those are the things we're going to work on right now. And we are also going to talk, before we get started, to finish up a little bit from last week's, which was grip and stance, we're going to talk about a little bit about the difference between an open and closed stance. Now, for me, you saw that every time I brought my racket back, I was almost completely turned all the way around. So for me, that's a very old-fashioned position. I actually have to pivot turn with my racket back so I can see this alignment here. Actually, it used to come with somebody wants to see the butt or the end of your racket so that you know you have your racket back and you can follow through and hit through the ball. The usual thing back when was that you want to have to where you hit 6 balls. So I bring my racket back, completely offset sideways so that I can move to the ball, and then I hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and make sure that I hit 6 balls for follow through. If I only connected about 2 or 3 balls, it's not going to go over the net. 9 times out of 10, it's going to go into the net. And also, we talked about placement or the face of the racket. Not my face, the face of the racket. So that if I hit it with an open face, the ball's going to go where? Really long or over the net or over the fence. If I hit it with a closed face, where's it going to go? Down into the net or down to the ground. It's not going to make it over. The same thing when I get ready for backhand. Remember I said the first thing you do is pivot turn, bring your racket back, and change your grip. And I said that happens because I have a one-handed backhand. So as I bring my racket around with my free hand, my non-dominant, I am pivoting, turning, getting lined up while I'm watching the ball, and I've changed my grip. So all that happens at the same time, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Pivot, turn, bring your racket back, change your grip. And again, you see the end of my racket. So now as it travels forward, look what the face is. It's going to go right over the net. It's like brushing across the ball, like I'm trying to get things across the table. I'm trying to bring them off the table. Okay, so if I hit up here with my weight leaning back, again, you know where the ball is going to go. If I drop my head and lean down, peek up, I'm never going to get it up. It's going to go straight to the ground. So both of the ladies are going to show you that they have a little bit more of an abbreviated turn or abbreviated stance because they're hitting with a different grip and hitting a different ball. Topspin versus flat, or topspin versus slice, or things of that sort. So Jane wants to go again first to demonstrate, and then Mary's going to go second. So they're both going to talk about stances. You're going to watch them do some shadowing. They're going to kind of mimic hitting the ball. So Jane's going to watch her. She hits the forehand. This is her ready position, step. She's got her imaginary ball in front of her. So see how she's still kind of open with her body facing you, or hips facing you, versus what mine looked like. So do that again. The ball's coming to you. Her brings her racket back, steps, opens, and pivots. Now you see how her hip is helping her contact the ground or the court, and that's going to be her strength right there. That's her power and strength. It's not her arms. It's her legs in contact with the ground. So let's do the same thing with the backhand. Pivot, turn, bring her racket back, look, and look where she pointed that front foot, the only foot she has a foot, there you go, her left foot forward, so she's going towards the ball. She didn't step across, she didn't step sideways, she stepped forward. Do that again on your backhand. Super, and look at her follow through. Look at the difference in her follow through on her backhand and my follow through. Watch it again. Look at the racket face, up and over. See how she brushed that ball up and over. So there's a different stance, and look at her shoulder. She's going to do it one more time. Look at her shoulder. Look at it. Look where that shoulder's pointed. Now, did you notice on both her forehand and backhand, the very first thing she did was bring her racket back? So that meant she knew that as soon as the person on the other side, here I'm making these gestures here, you can't see, she knew that as soon as I hit the ball, the person on the other side, she brought her racket back. So that's how quick she's going to do it. So Mary's going to show you hers. And then we're going to get them both back again, and we're going to start from the baseline, do approaches, and come in. So Mary's hitting her forward. Look at her little happy feet. You see her little dancing feet? Okay, that means she's ready. She's ready for any ball that comes. She's got her happy feet, her dancing feet. She's on the balls, on her toes. She's not set in concrete. She's not glued to the court. She's ready to go. So she's ready to hit her forehand. Boom, that racket's back. Now look at her hand. We're going to freeze her right here. This is her pointer hand. I call it the pointing hand. She's got her hand out there to guide her. She is saying, there's that ball, there's that ball. That's her tracker hand. That way she knows where that ball is, right there. And she's going to whap it now, and look at her movement. Look at right there. Look at the face of that racket. Look at it. Look where the weight's going. Now this is the difference between open and closed between Jane and Mary right here in this shot. Let's look at one more time. Racket back. Pointer arm, look all the way through, look at that shoulder bringing it through. Again, using the legs to create the fourth of the string. Now let's look at her backhand. Ooh, look at that racket back all the way. Look at it. It almost looks as good as mine did. Anyway, it actually looks really good because you see, I can see the end of that racket. Now watch her brush over that ball. Boom, 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 boom. So I'm on one end, Mary's in the middle on that backhand, and then Jane's at the top. So all three of us have very effective backhands, but look at how the movement goes. Mine's flat almost the whole way through. Mary's is half and half, and Jane's is brushing up and under the whole way. But did you notice that every one of us had follow-throughs? Nobody stopped. Nobody stopped midstream. Stop midstream on your backhand. Boom. There's no way that ball's going to go where you want it to go. Now, you could eke by, and this would be a late shot. If you only got that far, you can get those late balls every now and then, but you can't count on them. You can get a late ball because you're blocking it, and the blocking can pay off at times, but you want to hit a full shot. You want to be sure of your full shot. Okay, they're going to go back to the baseline, and we're going to vary between happy feet getting ready. We're going to do shorter balls, which means approaches. Now, you do not have to approach on every ball. That never has to be, but that's what we're going to do today. We're going to hit a shorter ball. Now, was that short? No. That's shorter. She's coming in. Here's a little half volley for her partner. Boom. Now here's a volley. She steps up and hits it in the air. There she goes. Okay. This is a backhand. Good. The shorter ball. Ready. Boom. Here's the volley. Super. You see how she stepped across and got it? Boom. Underneath it. Those are super. Okay, here we go. Backhand. Oh, that was terrible speed, wasn't it? There we go. Look at that. Short ball. Yes. Here's the volley. Boom. Cut it off. Okay. Which one? Jane? Mary. Mary, come closer to me. There you go. Come closer to me. Yes. Sorry. That's okay. There you go. Shorter. Come in. Yes. Boom. Yes. One more. Step up. There's a nice little half volley from down underneath. Okay, here we go. Now, one thing I'm doing right now is I'm trying to keep it in the middle, which is what I made the mistake of. Jane, go ahead and stay right behind her. Perfect. Very nice. Okay, now we're going to mix it up. The approaches are going to be different from either the half volley or the volley, because you never know what's going to happen when you get up. As close as you can stay there. Come closer. Come closer. Come closer. There we go. There's it right there. Now remember, the volley is what we want. The volley is the closest shot. That's it. Look at that. She's creeping up. Good. She's ready. Good. One more. Come all the way up. Put it away. Yes. Now did you notice on those last couple how low come up. What this does for them is I want them to start thinking about angling their volleys. And I also want them to start thinking about hitting some volleys that have a little bit of off pace or drop shots. Not every volley is hit with everything we've got. We have a tendency to do that, to hit with everything we have, but there's a time and place to just drop it over or place it away. There you go. So think about those short angles. Think about those short angles that have no pace on them. Think about dropping them. Think about placing it. There we go. Look at that nice little drop right there. So now this last shot from both of them, they're going to try and see how soft they can hit it on the last ball and drop it so the next person never gets it back. There we go. Look at that. That's like a little cut shot. Sometimes you'll say drop volley. Sometimes you'll say putting English on it. But you're placing it because we're assuming that person that's hitting to you, right here, drop it. Do it again. There we go. Look at that. There's no way the person from back there at the baseline is going to get up there and get that shot. Now, the whole point of approaches is you're setting yourself up for the ultimate put away. That's what you're setting yourself up for. We're working a game plan. It's like, it's like a chess game. You're like a chess game. Here it is, right here. Finish them off. Do it again. Do it again. Oh, do it again. Do it again. She looks good, doesn't she? There we go. There we go. A little drop shot. So go ahead and come up. There we go. One more. Now drop it right here. Good. Okay. Mary's going to come up with Jane. They're both going to come up a little closer. And remember, he's your object. I want everything dropped within the half mark of the court, right there. Half mark of the court. Now, I don't care if it's a volley or a half volley. We want it dropped. No paces on it. Now, watch everybody's rackets. Watch their rackets. Look how they're dipping low to get it. See how those are? These are little half volleys. And even though they may have to back up, they're cutting up underneath it. This time I want them to come halfway into the court, or I should say into the service box, and I want to see a drop volley from the air. Super duper. She just won the lottery on that one. Drop volley, yes. So did Jane. Awesome. Look at that. Let's see this little backhand. Oh my gosh, that's another one. If you get enough spin on these, they bounce backwards, and there's no way someone's getting those balls back. So the effective ball is not always, look at that, she hit two at once. The most effective ball is not always the hardest hit ball, it's the smartest ball. So again, get in front of you, go towards it. I have a friend that always tells me going forward gets you out of problems. So if you move forward, especially in a tennis game, you are going to get yourself out of any problem you might have. So think about going forward. Even if you have to back up to go forward, back up to go forward. Do you see how the ladies are ready for every single shot? They say to themselves, oh, that's my shot. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. So in case when they play doubles, then they know their partners, oh, look at that shot. They're always backing them up. Again, remember how many times we talked about the wind? What if the wind's blowing? The wind's going to help assist me on, ooh, almost got his leg. It's going to help me assist on that. Almost. Step forward, racket in front of you. These guys are such good examples of keeping their racket face up and in front. Jane only missed that because she backed up. She's going forward now. Look, there she goes. She's going forward. Super. That's okay. Forward. Sometimes we forget that we try to go down before we go over. So we have to go over first, then we can go down. Over first, and then we can go down. Oh, that was tacky. That was just so tacky. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to pick on Mary, and it's not her fault, but I said something very wide, which I should not have. But the only example that shows you is that if the ball is wide, you have to cut the angle off. That's what you have to do, is you have to cut the angle off if a ball is wide. So you want to think about that each time when you're doing. So these were for our approaches. our short shots coming in, our half volleys, going forward, cutting off, angling, and dropping shots. Those we're all putting together in that one little section. So this is 3.5 that we're working on. And last week we had Wilson. This week our tennis term is head. So these are all rackets, if you haven't figured this out yet. These are racket brands. So Wilson was the racket band last week. This week is head, which is what I have. Mary, what are you playing with?
Wilson.
Wilson, what are you playing with?
Babylon.
Babylon. Babylon's coming up later. I'm going to tell you which week because I don't want you to guess ahead. So we had Mary's last week for Wilson. We've got mine this week for head. In the future, sometime we will have Babylon so that we can have Jane covered also. But that's where we're at right now for 3.5. And next week we'll be talking about serves and serve returns. That's what we're going to be looking at. So can't wait to see the submissions for this week. Let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to send it to my.tccd.edu. Thank you very much.